Hey, what's up? What's up? It's your girl here, MJ's Nia. Welcome to the channel. So before I even get into this topic is something I wanted to talk about since I was in Kansas. I kind of talked about it a little bit back in 2018. I don't remember what year, but I did kind of talked about Kansas and how what I had experienced when I was going there. But yes, I don't mean to offend people who are born and raised in Kansas, but I'm just talking about experience that I had living there in Kansas. So please don't get upset with me. I'm just expressing my feelings. I'm not saying that is the bad state. I just think that it needs to improve. That's all I'm saying. But yes, let's start off with how Kansas is offering people to move there. This is actually a thing. So Kansas started this program back in 2019 to have people to move there because apparently a lot of people is moving out. So you're like, okay, what happened to you, Neil? Why is it that you were there in 2016 all the way up to 2021 and you moved out? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. And yes, my mom did pass away in 2018. That had absolutely nothing to do with it. It's what I experienced there in Kansas myself that had nothing to do with my mom's death. Because a lot of people thought that's why I was moving, and I told them no, I always wanted to move. But let me get into why I moved there. Well, I moved there because of a job. I moved out there because to come and help them out in Salina, Kansas. I feel like they are lost in the sauce. I'm gonna just give you an example of Salina, Kansas. When I was there, basically a woman told me, said her daughter moved to Lawrence, Kansas, and said the young lady wouldn't move back. She went to college there and she just would not move back. She moved further and further out of Kansas. And eventually, I think she's in Kansas City, Missouri. So we're going to see, you're going to hear a lot of that through here. You're going to hear a lot of people, they're born and raised in Kansas and they will move further and further out of Kansas. I'm going to tell you why. So, yes, I started off in Junction City and I was working in Salina City. See how far I was working? So, yeah. The reason was at that time frame in 2016, the pay rate was really bad and within the city and around the city. You had to drive farther and farther away to other factories to get a good paying job in Junction City. At that time frame, I think they changed now. I think their pay rate is like to $9 now for a cashier. But back in 2016, it was $7, barely $8. And that was utterly ridiculous in Junction City because the rent was very expensive. The rent was very expensive there at that time frame. So my mom and I, we decided, to move away from my brother because he was going to move too. He didn't quite sure know where he was going to move. We were just going to move because at that point we figured out it was just costing too much money, to live there in Junction City. And it's kind of odd because they have a military base right there between Manhattan and Junction City. Manhattan was doing okay. Not a whole lot good, but was doing much better than Junction City. So personally, I didn't want to stay in Junction City. But before I go, I want you to understand what I'm talking about Junction City. So let me show you a video.
Well, Junction City's been selected to be a part of the Kansas Main Street program. It's a program aimed at revitalizing downtown areas across the state. And KSNT News reporter James Ryan, he's live in Junction City right now. So James, what does this mean for that area?
David, I'm told the Downtown Revitalization Board has been meeting for a few years now, but becoming a Main Street, it gives them direction and a bit of a boost. Now, the Main Street program provides cities with guidance, training, and a comprehensive strategy to help revitalize their downtown districts. And Teresa Bramlage is the chair of the Downtown Revitalization Board. She says they toured downtown Emporia, which joined the Main Street program in the 90s, to see what becoming a Main Street could mean for Junction City.
Getting again the foundation in place with again the guidance from the Main Street program. Hopefully we in 20 years from now will be talking about our success stories.
We want them to have success. We want everyone to see what good is going on in their own community.
Sheila Markley is the co-director of the C.L. Hoover Opera House. She says they have long wanted to see 7th Street, which the Opera House sits on, become an arts district. She says they also hope to see more shops and restaurants that can make downtown Junction City a destination. Now, the long-term plan is obviously economic growth to grow businesses in the area, but in the short term, they're looking to start up the Main Street program here. Now, they have, I've told, hired a interim director. In the next 6 to 9 months, they hope to have offices, a business plan, and a permanent director hired. Live in Junction City, covering local news that matters, James Ryan, KSNT News.
Well, it looks pretty and alive right behind you, James, and so I can't wait to see what they do. The Kansas Main Street program originally ended back in 2012 during the Brownback administration, and Junction City is one of the first cities to join that program since it restarted back in 2019.
All right, so this plays a very important part in Junction City because it gives you an idea of what's going on in the city, and you're going to be hearing this a lot in the state of Kansas, that it always needs some type of help. It always needs some type of help with their cities to bring in more business. I saw that when I first moved there. They're struggling a little bit with bringing in new businesses and stuff like that into their downtown area to make it look alive. I've never been in a downtown area where it's so dead. Junction City is one of them. Topeka City, Topeka, Kansas, that's the capital, and their city too. When I left, it was still dead, and I'm going to get in more of that. I'm going to get into more of that. But this also plays a very key role in jobs. If you don't have enough businesses inside your city or around it, you're not going to have a lot of jobs. So at that time frame when I was there in 2016, they had this issue where it was not enough jobs that was paying very well. And I'm looking at that was in 2021. So it seems like they still are trying to bring more life to that city. And I also noticed that there was no hip hop channel in Junction City. So as I was moving over to Topeka, I thought that the radio station that when we moved to Topeka, that was Topeka's radio station. Okay, so I was looking for a hip hop station. So I saw one here, Rock Leader, Magic 1017. That's 5, Topeka's New Cat, The Beat. Now this is weird. It says The Beat, hip hop R&B back in the day joints. So where's this radio station? This is iHeartRadio. That's iHeartRadio. So you see what I'm saying? So when I put in hip hop, this is not Topeka station. In order for me to listen to hip hop radio channels, let me show you. I mean hip hop. I keep saying radio. Well, I had to go to Kansas City, Missouri. What's Kansas City? Yes. In order to listen to hip hop music in not Kansas City. So let me tell you this: Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is a circle, and it stays in between. It's like right in the middle of the two states. It's shared between Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, the state itself. So I want to explain that out because a lot of people get that confused. So they have their own hip hop stations. That's what we were listening to, was their hip hop stations. Yes. So in order to listen to hip hop in Kansas, you have to reach as far as Topeka. You have to reach as far as Topeka to listen to hip hop music. Yes. This was one of the biggest issues that I had. I'm like, there's no culture. Now, I don't know about the other music, about the Latino music. I didn't check it out, but if you go into if you type in, look up radio stations in Kansas, you won't find any. You won't find no hip hop channels. So let me see if there's Latino channel in Topeka. It's funny because when you're scrolling up and down, you can tell that there's no hip hop station in Topeka. Because when I go down to the T's, there's none there. That's how you know that there's no hip hop station, because there's none there. Interesting. Okay, so Topeka can't. Oh, wait. No. So there's no Latino channels in Topeka, Kansas. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe, you know, the Latino community could let me know if I'm wrong or not. I'm gonna be honest with you, I never heard of that. Yeah, and there's no reggae. Very interesting. Let me see. I'm just giving you an idea of a little culture there. I also went further because once I realized that I didn't saw a lot of, you know, hip hop, reggae. I didn't know about Latino, but we just found that out just now. Oh. But I also wanted to know, do they have festivals? Like, what type of festivals do they have? I literally typed in African festivals because I like going to those. I also try to look up, you know, Caribbean festivals. Maybe they might bring some back. I didn't see any when I was there. So I typed in, is there any African festivals in Kansas? Lo and behold, there's none in Kansas, but there's some in Kansas City, Missouri, and Omaha, Nebraska. This is Nebraska. So I was like, well, damn, they don't have no African festivals. So let me ask them this. Is there any Caribbean festivals in Kansas? It's the same thing. Let's see. It seemed like, okay, Kansas City downtown, Kansas City, United States. So it's in Kansas City. Kansas City, Missouri. So see, this is the most interesting thing I noticed when I look up things about festival, you know, different cultures, like things like this. I didn't find anything. So coming from a place like Charleston, South Carolina, and then moving to Florida and then coming here, you know, it's weird that there's no Caribbean festival, and there's no African festival, reggae festival, or whatever type of festival. None of the stuff is in the state of Kansas. You have to go to Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas. You have to go to Kansas City, Missouri to experience this stuff. You know, when I was there, I had a friend. She tried her hardest to start up an African, you know, festival. And she said every time she's tried to start it, said nothing happens with it. Nobody really cares about it. And I told her when I was there, you know, I noticed that the city itself is very dead. And Topeka is the capital. And it's very dead. So let me show you, I don't know if I can find one, but let me show you another video. I might not find one, but there was an experience that I had when I was Ubering in Topeka. Let me see. Let me show you if I can find a video about bringing the city back to alive. That's what I call it. Bring the city back alive again type video that I show. That remember I show you one about Junction City, or I'm gonna show you one about Topeka, Kansas. Now, it's funny, I couldn't find anything, but before I get into watching these videos, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my Uber experience. So I normally had Uber a lot in Lawrence, Kansas, because I made more money in Lawrence, Kansas, which is weird because Lawrence, Kansas is smaller than Topeka, but because it has that big, huge college there, I think it's called KU. I might be saying it wrong, I'll show it on the screen. I make a lot more money over there in, you know, in Lawrence, Kansas versus Topeka, Kansas. So, but sometimes I didn't want to go to Lawrence, Kansas. I want to slow it down, and I'll stay in Topeka. So one particular time, this is in 2019, I picked up this gentleman. He was like one of the leader organizers, the people who tried to bring the city back to alive. And he basically was asking me questions because he said I'm an Uber driver, and he said that he noticed that I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and he was like, I always heard this, you know. Why do people, I always heard people always asking, why did you move from Charleston, South Carolina to here? And I told them I was in Florida, and he was like, Florida? Why would you move here? I've always heard that when I was an Uber driver. Why was I there in Kansas? And this is one of the questions that was like one of the number one questions I heard as an Uber driver. Why was I there in Kansas? You know, those are beautiful places. So why not move back? They have more culture, you know, and everything like that. So we got in all that topic because I told him I hear that all the time. And then I told him, I said, but one thing is your downtown city area of Topeka is dead. It's dead, it's dead, it's dead. It's just like Junction City. They need more businesses to bring it out to life. It is dead. There's no pizzazz. There's no excitement. Now, I will say this too. In Lawrence, Kansas, they do have a lot of excitement because of the college. And I do know that college plays a big, huge part in Lawrence, Kansas. But we're talking about Topeka. That's where I stayed at the most. And I noticed that I just noticed those things. And he was saying that, yes, because I picked him up and I was taking him home, and he was like, yeah, I'm an Uber driver, just to keep that in mind. At that time, I was an Uber driver. And he was saying, yes, we are trying to figure out ways to bring the city alive. It is dead. And he was like, I'm one of the people. I think he was pulled from another city or another town or another state. I don't know where he came from, but he was brought there to actually bring the city back to life. It was dead. And I remember talking to another person. They said that Topeka used to be alive. You know, Topeka used to be alive many, many years ago because of the military. But when the military left, it just died out so quickly. So I wanted to share that experience with you because I was trying to find that, because that's another issue too with Topeka. They're trying to figure out ways to make the town alive. But yeah, they have that same issue as Junction City as well.
About 48 hours since a new program got the green light to pay people to move to the capital city. And since then, we're told hundreds of people have expressed interest from all over the Midwest and even from outside of the country. In a story we were first to tell you about on KSNT months before that decision was made, Reina Garcia gives us an update tonight. She's live in downtown Topeka to tell us more about the program and the early buzz around it. Reina?
Jay, staff members here at the Greater Topeka Partnership say phones were ringing off the hook today with people wanting to learn how they can get paid to move to Topeka. When Choose Topeka was announced, the Greater Topeka Partnership staff had no idea they'd gained so much interest so soon.
We knew it was a great program. We knew that it would probably get some attention, but the first thing that really jumped to us was when Time Magazine was on the phone with us early this morning, the New York Times, CNN.
The program was created to attract new young talent to the city and capitalize on its growth.
Some would say, is like, oh, why do you have to pay people to move here? We don't. But I think what we're doing is we are incentivizing them to consider us, to take a look at us.
Choose Topeka provides incentives for people to move and work full-time in Topeka and Shawnee County. Here's how it works. 40 to 60 applicants will be chosen for the program. They'll receive up to $15,000 to purchase a home or up to $10,000 to rent. Half is paid for by the Joint Economic Development Organization. The other half is paid for by the employer. Ross says he's confident that not only will it bring people in, but it will make them want to stay.
And we believe so strongly in the product that we've now developed over the last 10 years, they're not going to want to leave after staying here for a year.
Yeah, right.
Ross says people from as far as New York, Canada, and even the Philippines have expressed interest in the program. Now it's set to launch in 2020, and they're currently taking applications. Live in downtown Topeka, Reina Garcia, KSNT News.
Reina, thank you. And among the companies Go Topeka says are taking part in that are Evergy.
Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the whole thing of trying to get people to come there. This is an issue that I saw, and I noticed this. Now, unlike Junction City, you do get paid more in Topeka, Kansas. I will say that it wasn't an issue of getting paid. You get paid much higher. Some jobs there have started off $13 an hour, $14 an hour, so that's not an issue. The issue that I had with this place was it was just dead. There's no life there. I wish I could find some pictures. I should have saved some, but the place was just dead. It was like a ghost town. Like Topeka and Junction City are like a ghost town. It has some beautiful parts to it, don't get me wrong. You know, every city has a beautiful part to it, but for the most part, it's dead. And I'm sorry I stopped this guy on his face. I'm sorry, that was disrespectful. Let me get another good... Stop it. I don't like stopping people on their face expression like that. Okay, that's a lot better. But, yes. And the thing about the guy, when the guy was like, oh, well, we don't have to pay people.
Oh, why do you have to pay people to move here? We don't.
But the thing is, nobody is flocking to Kansas. You know, keep that in mind. This is why I'm talking about it. Nobody is really flocking to there. And I also know this too. I'm going to break down the bills Yes.
New tonight, cities all across Kansas are expecting energy bills up to 25 times higher than normal. This all stems from last month's brutal winter weather. When temperatures dropped on the evening of February 5th, it didn't climb back over freezing at all for nearly 2 weeks. Many of us slept in the dark at times with those rolling blackouts put in place to avoid running out of power entirely. And we wanted to know, what does this mean for you, the customer? As our Cassie Nichols found out, depending on where you live, you could be paying more for months.
Anyone in the state who gets a utility bill can expect to pay a little bit more over the next few months, but some bills might be higher than others. This is based on whether or not your utility company is regulated by the state.
There's some of the people that are talking that their electric bill and stuff is up to $900 to $1,000.
This is what one Holton resident says after learning his community will be one impacted by the astronomically high utility bills, all stemming from brutal winter weather back in February, leading to rolling blackouts and forcing Kansans and people all across the Midwest to use more electricity and natural gas to stay warm. And Holton isn't alone. Unlike larger cities like Topeka, who get their utilities from regulated large companies, 53 municipal-owned utilities supply natural gas in Kansas, and nearly 118 municipal-owned utilities provide electricity, which are not regulated by the Kansas Corporation Commission.
Going way back in time, your cities that have electric or gas utilities are generally cities that other companies were not looking to service back at that time. So the choice was, we do it ourselves or we don't have it.
The city of Denison is one of the first in the area to witness this firsthand. With a population of 133, the city usually pays $3 per heat unit. But after facing sub-zero temperatures, this increased to $622 a unit. Now they're looking at a bill of $241,000, a price that the city can't pay all at once. Just this weekend, lawmakers passed a $100 million loan that will be divvied up to help smaller communities with this financial crisis.
These cities don't have an option for not paying their bills, and their pending bills were putting them on the brink of bankruptcy. Without emergency action and this aid, the increased prices required to purchase natural gas and electricity would result in devastatingly high utility bills for consumers.
The loan allows cities to pay it off monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually over the span of 10 years. As for Kansans impacted, they will still have to pay, but the loan lowers their bills so customers can pay off what would have been an extremely high bill over a longer span of time.
If nothing else were to happen, what this does is it does provide a much greater period for cities to spread those bills out, so the sticker shock will dissipate.
Now, to figure out if your utility company is regulated or not, and to determine if you will be paying higher amounts over time, we've posted maps on our website. Just head to ksnt.com and click on this story. In downtown Topeka, covering local news that matters, Cassie Nichols, KSNT News.
So the bills, like when you pay your electric bill, your water bill, it's sky high. It's very expensive. And you will think a place like Florida, the rent is high in Florida, but the rent is cheap in Kansas, and that's how they get you. That's how they got us, because our family member was telling us like, oh, you should move there because the rent is cheap. Yes, the rent wasn't cheap in Junction City, but the rent was cheap in Topeka. But, there's a but. When the winter time comes, you have to pay gas. And I keep telling people this, you have to pay for gas. Gas is not free there, okay? I'm talking about the gas company. I'm not talking about gas for your car, gas for your house. That's what I'm talking about. Your gas bill. That's not, I say free, but it's not an option. What I meant to say, it's not an option. You can't say, oh, I don't need it. No, you need the gas in order to, keep your house warm. And it's like a -11, -12. That doesn't bother me, but the problem is you guys want us to pay all these high-ass bills. The bills are very expensive. Trust me, honey. When I tell you the electric bill, the gas bill, the water bill is very high, but your rent is cheap. Because I had a 4-bedroom house, $750 a month, but the gas bill was so high, the water bill was high, this because of the winter time. You had to do payment arrangements, and the electric bill was high. Now that I'm back in Florida, You don't need gas because there's no winter time here. It's not that brutal. I mean, it's barely even gets cold. I mean, it does have some days where it gets 20 or 30 degrees here in Florida, but it doesn't stay like that for a long period of time like Kansas. So I will say that. But so you don't need the gas. You just need to warm up your place with the electric, but not in Kansas. See, a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people don't know that different states are different. And also, Kansas is an at-will state, okay? Let me tell you, you cannot talk, when I mean at-will, when you on those jobs in Kansas, you have to put up with all the BS off of those jobs, or else they'll terminate you. And then when they terminate you, you can't get unemployment. I was surprised they gave out unemployment in 2020 because they don't do that. Kansas don't give out no unemployment. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's an at-will state. It's anything goes, whatever. If you got terminated, that's on you. You're not getting no money. I've never heard such BS. Even if you're in the right, you're not gonna get no money. They're all for the companies. They don't care anything about their employers. I've heard that several times from multiple citizens that live there. They complain about that. And you know what? They complain about them tear up roads too.
Crews can work on potholes, and so far this year, the city is filling more than 5,000 potholes in Topeka. Tonight, our hunt for the worst ones in the city is on, and we need your help. KSNT News reporter Dan Garrett is live in Topeka to show us what he's finding out there tonight. Dan?
Brooke, take a look at this pothole right here. This is by far the biggest one I found today, and I want to thank Matthew Worrell for leading me to it. With all the winter weather we've been having this year, the water seeps into cracks and expands with the rising temperatures, causing potholes like this. Huge chunks of the road are missing all over Topeka, causing people to zigzag as they drive. Pothole repairs come out of the street maintenance fund, which is almost 40% of the public works budget. This year, the city put almost $19 million in the budget, and that is down by over $5 million from last year. And the potholes are driving drivers mad.
In quite a few street situations here in town.
Now we're planning to keep up the search for the largest pothole, so make sure you go over to our Facebook page to let us know where to look, and then tune in tonight at 10 and we'll show you what we found. Live in Topeka, Dan Garrett, KSNT News.
Yes, Kansas. Topeka, Kansas has the worst roads ever. And I know you might say, oh, but there's potholes everywhere. No, Baboo. No, Baboo. Topeka, Kansas got the worst roads ever. Let me see if I can find a video. Let me look. Out of everything that I experienced was those damn roads. Horrible, horrible, horrible.
Sticker shock may be the best way to describe how you might feel when you learn how much the capital city and state's bad roadways could be costing you. A new report from the National Transportation Research Group is out today. The new TRIP report claims more than a third of the state's urban roads are in poor or mediocre condition. It's worse in the capital city, where they say 73% of roads in the Topeka metro are bad. That's costing Topeka drivers an average of $1,500 each year. It adds up statewide.
The report finds that Kansas residents are paying an additional $2.7 billion annually in the cost of driving on rough roads, the cost of delays caused by traffic congestion, and the economic consequences of traffic crashes.
The TRIP report lays blame at the State House door, claiming that nearly $2.5 billion in highway cuts in recent years have caused good roads to go bad. The city of Topeka responded with a statement today saying that they're, quote, committed to improving streets and are working to secure adequate funding.
Yes. This person uploaded this in 2017, KSNT News. This was uploaded in 2017. Do you know they still have issues with their roads? When I left, it's 2021, and they still have issues with their roads. Junction City roads were bad, but not as bad as Topeka. Topeka is the capital. Yeah. Topeka is the capital. It shouldn't even be having that type of issue, but it does. And do you hear how much money it's going to be costing? They're still fixing the road as we speak. The roads are so bad there. And I have gotten my tires flat. And I remember them saying that if your tires are flat because of the road, that they'll give you the money back. I'm like, what is going on in this town? There's so many things I can talk about Kansas. I only touched the tip of the iceberg, okay, so to speak. So, if you think I'm tripping about these Topeka roads, let me see if there's an article on it. So here is the Topeka street conditions. This is www.topeka.org if you want to go look it up. I'm underneath Topeka street conditions. Yes. So it says an independent assessment of Topeka street network in the early fall of 2016 gave us an average grade. This is back in 2016. What? A 55 on the scale of 100. Topeka's grade means our roads are right on the border between fair and poor. And we have some decisions to make. The interactive map and glossary below will help you understand the grade of individual streets and our network as a whole. So if you want to know more about this, I'll put a link down below so you can see this for yourself. This is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. And so I think this is here is a map. I think this is, oh wow. So, oh wait. Hold on. So now, is this giving you an idea of the map of how much they have to fix? And this is pretty much half of Topeka. You know, let me see. You couldn't see it on the other screen. So, you see the poor? That's all the poor areas. That's half of Topeka. That's half of Topeka. Look at this. It's in the poor and in the fair. They say fair? Okay. It's red. It's red and yellow all over. And then you got some green. No, we should have more green than anything, and a little bit of poor. But this is ridiculous. And I'm sorry. There were some roads I couldn't even drive on. I don't know. There were some roads I couldn't even drive on. I'm just saying. This is the person who actually lived there from 2016 to I moved to Kansas in 2017. And another thing, before I go anywhere, before I talk about anything else, I have to talk about Washburn. I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't even get on their website. But anyway, Washburn University. This was the college that I went to. A big joke. So basically when you go to this college, they force you to find a career, which I already have made up my mind. I want to be in film and video. I like editing. I like videos. I like making videos. So you see it. That's what I do. I make videos up here on YouTube. I like that. I like to stream on Twitch. Yes. So I was going to school for mass media. I was on film and video. So you wonder why I left, because at that time frame my mom passed away and I never went back because I already told her I wasn't going back to that school because that school was a joke. When she was alive, I told her that school was a joke. So basically they force you into taking these classes, like not taking these classes, but they force you into a career. You have to pick a career at Washburn University. When you first get there, they're not like other colleges. I guess they do that because they want to make sure that whatever that student picks, they stick with it and get out on time. Well, that's not the case with Washburn University. And y'all know a lot of people, they talk about different universities and colleges like they're all the same. And you know what? From my point of view on colleges, this have to be another video. I'm at this point where if you're going to college, it's a waste of time. I went to college for film and video, and I already knew the stuff because I already knew how to edit videos. I taught myself, self-taught, and because I never learned it from any college, I self-taught myself. And they teach you how to use a camera and how to use that too as well. And the thing about it is, I felt like I already knew the stuff already. So I felt like it was a waste of time. I guess because you can get a degree and you can work in being a director and all that other BS. But this is another thing that I learned when I was going to film and video. It's a monopoly on the film and video in the Hollywood industry of movie and all that other good jazz and television. It's a monopoly on that, and that's more dominated by men. That field is dominated by men, and white men at that. Black men really don't have a whole lot of I said this years ago on another video because I found this out, that black people have a very small portion in the entertainment industry, like television, radio, anything that has to do with mass media. We have a very small portion of it. And I don't know how it is now, but I also noticed too the Latinos have a small, I'm talking about America, not as a whole in the world, but we're talking about here in America. It's first is the white people. They have the mass majority over film and video. And then second is African Americans, and then other than that, it's Latinos and Asian. So we have a very small portion of it. So I just want to bring that out because this is something that I learned in Washburn University. Now that was new to me. The whole part of how much, the black people own is a very small portion of it. Very small portion. But with that said, when I was there, I experienced that a lot of the college students there some of them was around my age at that time frame, and some of them weren't. When we were critiquing each other on our screenwriting, this young lady, she kept talking about how the way I speak. She never talked about what I was writing in the thing. So one time she finally said it again, and I was like, why do you keep saying how the way I speak? I said, I'm from South Carolina. I'm not from Kansas. So yes, I'm going to have an island voice. And I was tired of it. And I put her on blast in front of the whole class. Like, yeah, I said, I get it that you're critiquing me on my work, but you keep saying that people don't speak like that. I said, people from New York don't speak like us. I said, I'm like, whoa, what type of critique is this? And this wasn't an instructor. This was like another classmate, because the classmates had to critique you on your screenwriting. And she got mad with me, and I'm gonna tell you why she got mad with me, because I told her she had no protagonist in her script, and the instructor said, yes, you have done this several times, and you don't really have I told us you have a strong story, but you have no protagonist. She had a protagonist. That's the main character. I'm sorry, antagonist. Woo, child, Nia, no, you didn't. Okay. She never had that in her script, and I always call her out. I always let her know she never had that, and I think that particular day she got upset about it, and so I let her know, like, I don't like how the way you tell me that about my voice. So I kind of noticed that too. If you was talking a certain way or if you act a certain way, people automatically picked up that you were not from Kansas. I don't sound like them. I sound like I'm from the islands, but I'm not. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. That's just how people say it. And please do not come on here and talk about some Geechee, because that's very disrespectful. I do not like when people go on other people's channels and pick at them and tease them how the way they speak. I never understand that on social media in general, or people where they want to pick at you based on how you speak and how you carry yourself. To me, you're pretty much tearing down that person's self-esteem. I think that is not cool. That's why I get really offended when people come in here, oh, you said this word wrong, or grammar, people who come in looking for grammar and you'll be in the comments, and I'm like, wait a minute, you came to this video just to see how I pronounce words and where I put my English and all that other mess at? Please leave. That's just a waste of time. Please don't come over here. Stay over there where you at. Don't come over here. But that's just ridiculous. You're just wasting my time and your time. And because you comment on how the way I speak, that's just ridiculous. These people, they want to make you feel dumb so they can feel good about themselves. So they can make you feel dumb and make you stop talking about what you're talking about. Nope, as you see, I still make videos. So anyway, yeah, back to that. That was the whole experience I had with Washburn University. After y'all hear that thunder and lightning, it is horrible. It's about to storm. I have to wrap this thing up. I can talk for days about this. But I thought that was very alarming. Very alarming. And I was like, wow. Is this what these kids think? And let me tell you, boo-boo. I took my brothers to the barber shop, It was off of, what's that street called? Was it California and 29th Street? There's a barbershop off California Avenue in 29th Street or something like that. And I was there, and I think it was me and one other lady. She was there with her son, and I was there with my brothers. Oh Lord, I'm trying to wrap it up so I can give y'all an idea more of how the city is, how the people are. So he said he was from Louisiana. He said, I don't understand the white women here. And he was looking at everybody. And the guy said, what you mean? He was cutting somebody here. He said, I'm from Louisiana. And he said, it amazes me how the white women, they just run up to you. And he said, they all over the black men. This is what a black man said. I didn't say anything, but I noticed that too in Topeka and in Junction City. I noticed that the white women run all over. Like they just run to the black men. They don't even care for their men. And I noticed that. And he was saying, I'm from Louisiana. And he said, white women don't do that in Louisiana. I said, in South Carolina, they don't do that either. I said, it's normally where it's both the black man and the white woman, they attract to each other. It's like 50-50. They both are attracted to each other. But not here in Kansas. It's more of the black man is trying to handle their business and the white woman is running after them. I also noticed that too with the white men. They were very flirtatious. They're very, and I was like, I wonder why the white people act like that. I just thought that was weird. And that was something that was talked inside the barbershop. And a lot of people were saying that they noticed that. So they noticed that the white people here, you can tell they don't really care for black people, but their younger women really do run after the black men. And said some of the white men too are running after the black women. I've never seen this. It's normally like a 50-50, like, you know, if you're friends with a white person, and then eventually they'll be like, you know, I like you. But it's not like that in Kansas. Like, they run right after you. If you black, they run right after you. I don't know what's the whole deal with that. Maybe y'all can tell me, the people who live there in Kansas. They want to jump all in your guts. It was just weird. But it was just weird because they just run after you. It's a difference. Now, you might say, well, Neil, they have mixed relationship everywhere, but no, it's a difference. It's not the same how it is in Kansas. I feel like they're running away from something. This storm is bad. Okay? I know y'all hear it. It's, oh, Lord, I've been on here for 47 minutes. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, if I can remember, is the mental hospital. So I have a mentally ill brother, so therefore I have to have another brother who stayed with. We both take care of him. We have other brothers too that help take care of them. So he's mentally ill. So when we went there, we noticed that it was very different. We noticed that the laws for mentally ill people in Kansas are different. So I want to talk real quick, like, before I get into the real topic of the mental illness, my personal illness with my brother. In Kansas, there was also something that I forgot to mention. It says Kansas treatment of those with mental illness was a study in neglect decades ago. Now, apparently, you know, years ago, back in 1948, for the Kansas board, there was a lot of patients that came out that between 1866 and 1946, a lot of them died. A lot of the mentally ill people died between that time frame. So I'm gonna put a link in the description about this. I thought that was very interesting that they've been having issues with mentally ill people there in Kansas. I just think they don't know how to take care of these people. So I want to bring that out before I get into this topic. All right, so let's get back to the topic. There is a lot of sick individuals walking around the street. These people are walking around doing whatever they want because Kansas gave them the power to think that they are competent to take care of their own business. If you are a mentally ill person, you do not understand what's going on. You don't understand. Let me say that over again. You don't comprehend very well, and you don't understand what's going on. So I say this to say this. There was a lot of issues with Kansas. They would not really give a lot of help. They gave help to him for his medicine and his, you know, his injections and stuff like that. But if you want to get him some more help, they said that he had to do it. And I was like, well, he can't do that. He has a learning disability. Now in Florida it's different. Places in South Carolina is different, and I'm finding out in different states it's different. If you are mentally ill and you're an adult and you don't have no guardian, your family have no say over you because you're a grown adult. So yes, they don't really have they don't evaluate their mentally ill people, because they give that choice to the mentally ill people, which I didn't like, for newcomers. They allow them to walk around in the street, be yelling and screaming. If they don't take their medicine, they don't care. They don't pick them up off the street and take them to a mental hospital. I saw that with other individuals, not with my brother, because he was willing to take the medicine and everything. But I saw that with other individuals that were there in Kansas. You can tell that they were sick. They were screaming and yelling. And from what the rumor was, there was a big, I don't know how many years ago, a lot of the crazy people were dumped off in Kansas. I don't know how true that is. That's a rumor. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm not sure. But this was something that my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, had told me. I don't know how true that she doesn't even know. But it's very weird how they do their mentally ill, how they treat them. I don't feel like they treat them with kindness. I feel like they just pretty much just give them a whole bunch of medicine and they don't care what's going on with them. And the programs they have there is just not very good. I know one of them they had mentioned, I can't remember the name of it, but I don't know, if I find it out, I'll put it on the screen. And it's basically, they weren't a good company to have your mentally ill family member go to it, with a personality disorder. I'll say that, my personality disorder, to go to it, because they don't really, from what I know, it has bad reviews. And then one of the people who was the med doctor, she used to be there, and they always switching med doctors at Stonewall Vale, because that's where my brother was going, at Stonewall Vale. They always switching med doctors. They don't ever keep the med doctors. Well, she was telling me, which was Lee, Dr. Lee, which same name as mine, same name, had the same last name as mine. She was saying that, I think it was, I don't know, was it Viola? I don't know the name of the mental health. It was another health. It's like they're supposed to help them out. She said that they had bad reviews, but somebody else in that same facility was recommending that to my brother. It was weird. It was just very weird. I'm glad that I'm back in Florida. All right, so I want to talk about the wage garnishment laws in Kansas. So on this, make sure you go look this up. This is according to NOLO, but I know this for a fact because it happened to me. This is actually a thing where Kansas can garnish your paycheck, and they also can take your income tax. So the reason why mine was taken was because I had old Washburn, lovely old Washburn University. Yes, I had owed them some money. And some people say even if you have so I don't know how true it is, even if you have a bill, like a utility bill, they will garnish your check as well, but it's like a certain amount. But yes, down here are the things that they take your checks, they'll take your paycheck for. Like those you owe taxes, federal student loans, child support, or alimony. Yes, they will take, they can file a suit to get a wage garnishment. Yes, honey. So I want to talk about that real quick. Like, that's what I'm saying. Learn your states before you move to them. Don't just up and run to these states. I'm telling y'all, learn the states before you move to them. All right, let's wrap this up. I will be talking about Florida, and because there's some miscommunications about Florida as well, and I want to break that down too. If you want me to talk about Florida, I will. If you want me to talk about South Carolina, I will. My experience here and there. I've been in Florida for a long time. I just moved back. I've been in Florida from 2009 to 2016. So I should have made a video there when I went to Kansas. But I'm back in Florida, and I'm happy I'm back in Florida. I will not ever move to states like Kansas. Those are no man lands. Okay, I'm gonna just say this by the end of the day. States like Kansas are no man lands. They try to figure out ways to bring more different people there. They're trying to figure out ways to bring more businesses there. Those places are just dead. They're just dead. They just have people there. The people are alive, but not the state. I'm just going to put that out there, okay? Let me know what you think down below about Kansas and what other state you want me to talk about. Florida, South Carolina. Yeah, we can get it popping, okay? So, yes. Yeah. I shall see y'all later. Peace.
You get me so. You get me so. You get me so.